In the early days of my teaching, I was referred to, working with law enforcement, I was referred to a lot of people that had a lot of post-traumatic stress syndrome, a lot of women who were physically and emotionally abused. And so this was the population that I got my start with. However, as the last 30 years have evolved, I don't know of too many people that have come through, and there's been thousands that have come through these programs, that haven't had some kind of dysfunctional interaction in the world based on their internal programming. So when we don't operate from understanding what we call the fear state in our body, what can happen is we tend to make up in our minds consequences that aren't real. And based on what we see in our head about the consequences, it can literally stop us from going for something that's been presented to us to make us grow. Life will come at you. And the curriculum of life is intended, in my experience, to make you grow. And quote, the bad things that happen that we call traumatic or tragedies, they're not punishments. It's just life coming at you for one reason and one reason only, to make you grow as a human being, to get you more in touch with their spiritual nature, what I call the warrior spirit. And sometimes these traumatic events in our life as it comes at you don't feel good. We prefer to have only the pleasurable things that happen. However, the traumatic things that happen can literally be a slingshot to catapult you forward. I'd ask you if you've ever had, have you ever had a situation in your life? And I know you a little bit, and I know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyhow. Have you had a situation in life that you prefer that it didn't happen? A tragedy, a loss of a loved one, or a health situation. And yet, if you've gotten past it, if I ask you the same question, because of that, were you more compassionate? Are you more wise? Because of that quote, bad thing that happened. And 99% of the people always answer yes. Because of that thing that happened, I grew. So if that is so, can we not, in the middle of life challenges and confrontations, with that awareness, not so much for the reason of getting rid of the bad feeling, the bad feeling is only a result of the wrong thinking about that situation. If in the middle of any kind of confrontational situation in your life, you had the awareness that this is going to make me grow, and even though I'm feeling the contraction in my heart and in my stomach and in my throat that I usually feel when I'm confronted like this is the catalyst for my growth, and it's all going to be okay. In fact, okay, the term comes from an old great term, olakala, and it means it's all beautiful. It's a signal of a circle with three. And that's where okay comes from. And it's a running joke at the Leap of Faith. I just got old color. Just going to go through it. However, the only way to grow is you've got to take the step. You can't think your way through growth. You have got to, you're in a physical body. You're confronted by life. You must do something physically. It's often emotionally laden. And there's a lot of stories that go with it. What the Leap of Faith does, essentially, is it looks at these stories to see if they're healthy or not. It's not about changing the programming. It's about using the programming system in our bodies for a healthier outcome. So you're awake and you're conscious of why you make the decisions you make, which gives you a position in life where if you know you got a choice, you can make a different choice. Because the choices you make dictate the reality that you live. That's the bottom line. And suffering doesn't come from the events in your life. It doesn't come from the people that you wish would change. The suffering comes from your perception of those events, of the people in your life. It's how you look at them determines whether you contract in suffering, whether you become what I call self-victimized by the circumstances in your life. And that's where the term, the victim of circumstance, comes from. Why do some people take the same circumstances and it feeds them and they grow and they do spectacular things? That's where the Mahatma Gandhis and the Martin Luther Kings and the Nelson Mandelas and the Mother Teresa's all sourced that place. Tremendous challenge in their lives. Tremendous confrontation. They all felt fear in their bodies. But they did something different. They took the next step. They all took an act of courage. And it's the same thing when you take an act of faith. Faith it's got this perception, to some degree, of being a religious connotation, and it's not. Faith is knowing. It's absolutely knowing beyond the five senses, beyond sight, beyond anything you've learned, beyond anything academic. It's knowing that by taking the next step, you are fulfilling something that your own soul says, this will make me grow. That's what faith is. It's a knowing that if I go forward, Olakala, it's all going to be okay. Not taking action, hesitating, is where the suffering is. See, I was told one time that, by a dear friend of mine who took this program, that the gates of hell are locked from the inside. And this helps people have a key to unlock that door. And the thing about that is that you can be outside, wake up the next morning, and all of a sudden you're back in the prison, you don't remember how you got there.
Yeah.
Okay? But when it's an internal programming inside of you, that when you feel that feeling, you automatically make a different choice, you get a different outcome.